Life today has brought us to an interesting situation. We're more connected than ever, but at the same time, it's common to feel alone. Although we have many things to do and responsibilities, there are times when it seems that the people we consider important don't give us enough attention or value. In today's context, we all want to feel that we are important to those close to us, but we often find ourselves ignored. We get the feeling that they don't care about us, as if we were of no relevance to them. This is where Stoicism and its philosophy come in. The Stoics teach us to find value in ourselves and not to depend exclusively on the constant recognition of others. How can we incorporate these lessons into our routine to gain prominence in the lives of those around us? In this video, we will explore effective approaches aligned with Stoicism and philosophy, aimed at gaining people's genuine attention or discerning whether there is a legitimate interest in us. These are not manipulative strategies, but a wise and authentic approach to building true and meaningful relationships. By following these principles, you will naturally become someone admired by those around you. Discover and define your identity in a solid way. You've probably come across the expression, "Tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are." This phrase suggests that the relationships we choose play a significant role in how we are perceived. If you don't occupy a prominent position in your relationships, this could be a sign that these people may not have a genuine interest in who you are. In this ancient philosophy, we delve into principles that guide us in the search for balance between our individual needs and the bonds we establish. The essence of this teaching lies in being valuable to yourself without becoming totally dependent or indispensable to others. This means recognizing and affirming your own identity, maintaining authenticity, even in the closest interactions. By understanding that each individual is unique and valuable, you can shape your relationships in a way that nurtures both your personal needs and social bonds. Within the framework of this philosophy, the opportunity arises to explore the dynamics of interpersonal relationships, assessing how each individual contributes to building a healthier and more balanced community. In this way, by clearly defining your identity, you can establish more authentic and meaningful relationships in which reciprocity and mutual respect are fundamental. This approach not only strengthens your individuality, but also contributes to the formation of more enriching and lasting bonds. Step number 1. Communicate clearly. In a world full of voices and ideas, speaking clearly is an essential art. The Stoics, who were like quiet masters, knew that the true power of speech lies in the simplicity and honesty of words. Therefore, when we engage in everyday conversations, it is crucial not only to speak, but to communicate in such a way that our words have purpose and meaning. This is being reinforced these days by psychologist Jordan Peterson, who says that clear communication is essential to becoming a person of virtue and solving problems. The first important thing we learn from the Stoics about communication is to choose our words carefully. Each word must be like a precise arrow, not to hurt, but to enlighten. As the builders of our conversations, we must create sentences that resist confusion. In Stoicism, the conscious choice of words is the tool that creates mutual understanding. Listening attentively is crucial in communication. It's not just about hearing the words, but understanding the emotions behind them. True communication happens when we go beyond the superficial and tune into the emotional tone. This enriches our interactions and shows Stoic empathy, where understanding is the basis of human connection. The Stoics teach that effective communication requires humility, recognizing that we don't have the absolute truth but are navigating a sea of perspectives makes us more open to constructive dialogue. Humility reminds us that words are bridges, not barriers, and through them we can build mutual understanding. Clarity in communication also comes from transparency. In Stoicism, the virtue of honesty is like a light that chases away the shadows of ambiguity. By communicating our thoughts and feelings directly, we build the trust necessary for solid relationships. In this soil of sincerity, the seeds of understanding grow. Moderation is reflected in the tone of our communication. Avoiding emotional extremes in words is an art that requires control over momentary passions. Moderate speech not only avoids unnecessary conflicts, but also creates an environment conducive to mutual understanding. Within Stoic philosophy, communication is likened to a harmonious dance, a fluid interaction between speaking and listening, expressing and understanding. In this context, dialogue is not seen as a battlefield, but rather as a space conducive to learning and mutual growth. When we incorporate Stoic principles into the way we communicate, every interaction becomes a valuable opportunity to share wisdom, build bridges of understanding, and strengthen the bonds that connect us as human beings. In this way, we seek to transform our words into vehicles of clarity and compassion, reflecting not only our individual wisdom, but also the intrinsic beauty of authentic communication. By adopting a Stoic approach to verbal expression, we aspire not only to authenticity, but also to building an environment where mutual understanding and empathy flourish, fostering a deeper connection between people. Step number 2, prioritize your needs. We often end up letting go of what we need in order to help others, and this can lead to people not respecting us enough. Nowadays, it seems that everyone thinks we have to be at everyone's disposal all the time, but this isn't sustainable and can make others think we're like a resource that never runs out, sucking up all our attention and time. The Stoics teach us that we should be in charge of our own lives and take good care of ourselves. This includes setting healthy limits and thinking first of our own needs before helping others. Epictetus once said, "First, tell yourself what you want to be and then do what needs to be done." This phrase shows an important idea of Stoicism that has a lot to do with the way we relate to ourselves and others. Epictetus encourages us to do an exercise of affirming who we are and understanding ourselves before starting anything in life. This personal affirmation involves recognizing what we need, what we want, and what is important to us. It's like knowing that before helping others, we have to take care of our own things first. In the view of the Stoics, who were ancient sages, this way of thinking goes hand in hand with the idea that control over ourselves and knowing who we are the basis of a good and meaningful life. In order to be truly nice to others, we first need to cultivate good things within ourselves, such as being authentic, bearing up under difficulties, controlling ourselves, and understanding how others feel. Before seeking the approval of others, it's essential to cultivate an appreciation for who we are. This attitude does not imply selfishness or neglecting the needs of others, but rather building a solid foundation of self-knowledge and acceptance. By developing a clear understanding of our identity and goals, we emanate a confidence that naturally draws people closer to us. The wise teachings of the Stoics emphasize the importance of understanding our values, goals, and intrinsic qualities. This deep understanding acts as an internal compass, guiding our actions and decisions in a way that is aligned with our true essence. Epictetus' famous phrase reinforces that it's not enough just to express our desires. It's crucial to demonstrate them through our actions. When we act in accordance with our authenticity, our deeds reveal our intrinsic value, attracting people who value consistency and sincerity. Congruence between words and actions becomes a magnet for authentic and lasting relationships, since people are naturally attracted to integrity and the true expression of who we are. Therefore, by establishing this connection between self-knowledge, authenticity, and consistent actions, we build a solid foundation for meaningful and rewarding interpersonal relationships. Step number 3, create the fear of loss. When you are always available to others, responding immediately, people can assume that you will be there at any moment. In a hurried world, where time is a valuable resource, Stoicism teaches us to give due appreciation to this resource. It's important to allow people to miss you and notice your absence from time to time. By remembering that we can't control what happens around us, but we do have control over how we react. By valuing our time and attention, you become someone who respects yourself. This makes others see you as a valuable person because you choose to dedicate some of your precious time and attention to them. So don't hesitate to say no or not respond immediately to other people's requests. Practice the skill of patience and allow others to recognize the value of your time as much as you do. The art of being patient is crucial to gaining priority in other people's lives. Stoicism teaches us that patience is a very special virtue in a world full of distractions and haste. Being able to wait calmly can set you apart and make you someone very special. Patience goes beyond simply standing still and doing nothing. It is a constant exercise in controlling your emotions and reactions. Imagine patience as a shield that protects you from the pressures and turbulence of the present moment. When you practice patience, you are demonstrating to others your inner strength, the ability not to be carried away by haste or momentary emotions. It's as if you were a shining beacon during a storm, radiating calm and stability. Training patience doesn't just mean waiting passively, but remaining calm and centered while others may be impatient around you. This constant practice creates an atmosphere of tranquility around you, and people will begin to appreciate your presence and emotional control. Patience is a quality that stands out, highlighting you as someone capable of facing challenges with calm and resilience. Don't constantly seek the approval and attention of others. Instead, be the master of your own time and attention. By doing so, you will cultivate an aura of confidence and serenity, and people will increasingly value your presence and positive contribution to the environment around you. Step number 4. Don't make them the center of your life. Nowadays, we often fall into the trap of thinking that others are super important and forget to follow our own path. Don't make them the most important thing in your life. Don't always make yourself available to everyone. Your time and attention are valuable. When you realize that, you'll see how people will value you more. Sometimes, we end up turning social media and the need to please others into a constant search for acceptance and happiness. This takes us away from who we really are and turns us into puppets, doing what others want. The teachings of the Stoics say that we should be the main thing in our lives, giving more importance to the things we love and the goals we want to achieve. When we do this, we become more special and people respect us more. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, "No one can harm you without your agreement." Don't let others define or control you. This powerful quote from Marcus Aurelius reminds us that, at the end of the day, we are the ones who take care of our own peace and emotional well-being. In a world where the opinions, criticisms, and judgments of others are everywhere, it's important to know that we have the power to choose how these things affect us. The teachings of the Stoics tell us to cultivate the virtue of being selective. In other words, we need to learn to choose what deserves our attention and time, and what doesn't. We can't let what others say be our choice. We can't let what other people think determine our value, nor should we be controlled by things that happen from outside. When we apply this idea to our lives, we can face criticism that helps us improve with humility, and ignore criticism that has no basis and doesn't help us grow. We stop being controlled by the approval of others and take charge of our own story. The phrase, "No one can hurt you without your consent," shows us that we are in control of our minds and emotions. It calls us to think about ourselves and be authentic, being who we are without being afraid of what others think. When we understand and accept this teaching of the Stoics, we become responsible for our path, and our self-esteem and self-respect grow. In the end, this makes us more valuable and important to others. So when faced with the challenges and criticisms we encounter on life's journey, it's important to remember the wise words of Marcus Aurelius, "No one can harm you without your consent." This powerful statement urges us to use our inner power, reinforcing the importance of preserving sincerity and trust in being authentic. It is essential to understand that this principle does not suggest a selfish stance, but rather loyalty to our personal values and goals. Those who truly respect and support you are those who do not seek to change your essence. By not centering our lives on others, we build solid friendships based on mutual respect. Relationships that develop from this foundation are characterized by valuing authenticity and individuality. The people around you will appreciate the sincerity and originality you express, recognizing the intrinsic value of being truly you. This balance between personal assertiveness and consideration for others not only promotes healthy relationships, but also strengthens your own self-esteem and self-confidence. By following this path, you build an environment in which you are respected for who you are, establishing meaningful connections based on mutual acceptance and appreciation. Step number 5. Avoid always being available. If you tend to agree with everything others ask of you, your time can lose its value, and people can start to think that they are always guaranteed availability. The teachings of the Stoics, such as Seneca, tell us that it's important to be the masters of our time and to choose wisely how we want to use it. Learn to respectfully refuse requests from others when necessary. This doesn't mean being selfish, but rather being someone who prioritizes their own needs and goals before compromising with those of others. In the context of avoiding always being available, Epictetus's words take on a profound meaning. Man is free if he is not master of himself. Epictetus reminds us that true freedom begins internally, with self-discipline and control over our own decisions. Stoicism values the idea of living according to our principles and values by saying no when necessary. This makes people see you with more value and respect. Always being available to others can make us slaves to other people's expectations. Being master of yourself means being aware that our time, energy, and attention should be directed according to our own personal values and goals. By practicing this principle, we take a step towards true freedom. We are not being commanded by external demands for attention. Instead, we have control over our actions and commitments. These words of wisdom echo throughout history, inspiring us to be true masters of ourselves. This, in turn, enables us to gain priority and respect in our relationships and situations. Start by setting clear boundaries in your life. Define your priorities and set aside time for your responsibilities and goals. When you commit to something, do it consciously and with dedication. Stoicism reminds us of the importance of living according to our principles and values. By avoiding always being available, you show that your time and energy are of great value, encouraging greater respect, and, as a result, people will consider you a higher priority. The time has come to incorporate this approach to thinking into your daily routine, bringing about a significant transformation in your life. When you begin this process, it is essential to identify and organize the priorities that are most important to you. This means taking control of your time without letting other people's decisions influence your choices too much. The practice of saying yes only when you feel genuinely willing and confident about fulfilling commitments not only promotes a positive change in your lifestyle, but also contributes to the development of greater autonomy. This gradual and conscious change not only strengthens your sense of control over various aspects of life, but is also reflected in the way you are perceived in crucial situations and relationships, thus earning you the respect and attention you deserve. This approach, when incorporated, will not only shape a more balanced life, but will also open doors to more meaningful and satisfying relationships. Step number 6. Allow them to invest in you. It's not about thinking you're better than others, but allowing them to feel special by contributing to your life. Seneca once said something very interesting: people are happy when they do things that make them grow. When you let others help you, or show that you appreciate what they do for you, you give them the chance to make their own lives more enjoyable. It's like making room for people to feel valued and useful by letting them participate in your life. This can be as simple as accepting advice, help, or even a friendly word. In Stoicism, we understand that we all depend on each other. It's not nice to be afraid to ask for or accept help when you need it. And when we do this, we become more united with others. Now, talking about independence, Epictetus, who taught something very interesting. It's not what happens that decides how life is, but how we react. Being independent in Stoicism doesn't mean being alone all the time, but rather having the ability to make decisions on your own without depending too much on what others think. When you practice independence, you become like a guardian of your own right ways of doing things and the things that are important to you. This makes people think you're cooler because you're respected for who you are. Being independent also means that you can really be yourself in your relationships. You don't just become another person who follows others, but a friend who helps others to be well. In the independence of Stoicism, you need to have discipline, know what you are, and control yourself. These things make people like you even more, especially those who like strong, upright people. So, in order to gain a more pleasing image in the eyes of others, it is advisable to nurture personal independence. However, this doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world, but rather taking charge of your own story and guiding others by personal example. By adopting this approach, we not only strengthen the bonds of friendship, but also become more relevant figures in the lives of those around us. Generosity and a willingness to allow others to take an active part in our lives help us to be perceived as attractive and respectable individuals. It's worth pointing out that the real treasure in life lies in the friendships and special connections we establish with others. By making space for people to be part of our journey, we create a positive dynamic in which everyone wins, forming a virtuous cycle of enriching experiences and deep interpersonal relationships. This connection of good things, when multiplied, generates a circle of positivity that permeates not only our lives, but also the lives of those we choose to include in our circle of friends and acquaintances. To get this friendship and conviviality right, I have a message for you. Don't miss the chance to apply Stoic principles to deal with life's adversities. Grab the Stoic Mindset ebook now and discover how to cultivate serenity in the midst of chaos, make wiser decisions, and overcome adversity with mental strength. Click on the link in the first pinned comment and embark on your journey of wisdom. Step number 7. Create solutions, not problems. In life's hectic journey, it's common to feel lost in the face of challenges, seeing them as insurmountable barriers. However, Stoic philosophy reminds us that true strength lies in turning problems into opportunities. This perspective helps us to be truly valued by others. By adopting the Stoic principle of focusing on solutions, we build the basis for meaningful interactions. Stoic wisdom emphasizes that we don't control all circumstances, but we can shape our reactions. Thus, when faced with challenges, the Stoic response seeks to transcend, not just overcome. Collaboration, a Stoic value, comes to life when we adopt an active stance, being architects of positive change. In a world inclined to pessimism, those who, in the Stoic way, see opportunities in adversity and act to improve not only their own situation, but also those around them, stand out. Gratitude, essential in Stoic philosophy, is a shining beacon on our journey. Recognizing and expressing gratitude connects us more deeply to others, aligning us with the cosmos. Even in challenging situations, there is something to be grateful for. This creates mutual appreciation and strengthens us against the storms of life. Emotional intelligence, intrinsic to the Stoic vision, is revealed in understanding our emotions and interpreting the emotions of others. Remaining calm and showing understanding builds solid emotional bridges. This emotional mastery is not only a personal strength, but a valuable gift to share. The constant search for personal development stands out as a guiding light. Investing in expanding skills makes us more valuable and cultivates a mindset of continuous learning in line with Stoicism. This quest for knowledge raises our intrinsic value and inspires others. Honesty with oneself and with others, a strong characteristic of Stoic authenticity, underpins genuine relationships. By rejecting social masks, we build mutual trust, which is essential for lasting connections. This integrity, stemming from the Stoic understanding that virtue is the supreme good, not only makes us more valuable, but also guides others. In a world lacking in empathy, Stoicism highlights the importance of understanding and sharing emotional burdens. Being sensitive to others' experiences and offering support builds deep bonds and demonstrates the compassion inherent in true greatness. Thus, we can understand that being valued by others emerges naturally when living according to Stoic principles. Courage in the face of challenges, the ability to see opportunities even in adversity, and building relationships based on trust, gratitude, and empathy go beyond the common limitations of human interactions. By incorporating the teachings of Stoicism into our daily lives, we not only win the esteem of others, but also rise to a state of serenity and virtue where true greatness is revealed. In this context, it is worth noting that the constant practice of these principles not only influences the external perception of us, but also shapes our own self-perception. By acting in line with Stoic values, we develop a solid foundation for our actions, making us more centered and upright people. The search for true greatness in the Stoic understanding is not just about external appreciation, but about building a noble and resilient character, capable of facing the complexities of life with wisdom and compassion. Thus, being valued by others is, in fact, a natural consequence of this process of self-transformation. Step number 8. Keep the mystery. We often feel the urge to tell others everything about ourselves, to share our deepest feelings, thoughts, and desires right away. However, telling too much can lead to people not valuing what we say as much. Generally, people are more interested in what they don't fully know or what is under control. Instead of telling people everything about your life at once, try keeping a touch of mystery. Make people curious to know more about you. The Stoics teach us how important it is to have discipline and control over ourselves. Keeping a little mystery doesn't mean hiding who you are, but rather revealing little by little what really makes you you. If someone asks you something, answer in general terms without going into too much detail about what happened before. Avoid telling secrets or very important things about your life. This will make people more interested in knowing more about you. As the wise man Seneca, who is well known for his ideas, said, "Fortune helps those who have courage." In this case, courage means knowing how far to share and when to do so, leaving a bit of mystery for people to be curious about. This is good because it makes them want to find out more about you. When we realize that there are still so many fascinating things to be discovered about ourselves, this awakens the curiosity and attraction of those around us. The valuable teachings of Stoicism guide us to direct our attention to what is within our control. One of those things we can manage is deciding how much information we share about ourselves. It's worth noting that this doesn't imply hiding who we are, but rather making thoughtful choices about what we reveal. It's like having an exciting secret, something special all of our own. Also realize that it's not necessary to constantly seek approval. Keeping a little mystery is like protecting a personal treasure, allowing people to discover how special you are, not just because of what you show, but because of the authentic essence you carry with you. In this way, cultivating this balance between revealing and preserving creates a unique dynamic where people can truly appreciate who you are, valuing every authentic and special aspect. Step number 9. Stop starting a conversation. In a world where everyone is always communicating, this may seem like a challenge, but it's something the wise Stoics taught. The Stoics, like Epictetus, talked a lot about the importance of listening more than speaking. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak. Letting others start the conversation is great, because then you can learn more about them and about yourself. If you're always ready to talk, it can give the impression that you're anxious or only thinking about yourself, which often puts people off. Being patient and open to listening are things that make people like us because, as social beings, we like to communicate well and feel that they are paying attention to us. The Stoics also taught how to control that urge to always want others to approve of you. There's no need to keep trying to show how valuable you are. Your way of being and the things you do show that all by themselves. Letting others start the conversation shows that you think what they think and feel is important, which helps build stronger friendships. The way you make people feel is what they remember most, not so much what you say. In a world where many people want to attract attention, being someone who listens and values others makes people like and respect you more. So, if you want to be more valued by people, you might think about not always being the first to start a conversation. Practicing patience, really listening and letting others express themselves are important things. Now let's talk about active listening, which is when you really pay attention to what others are saying. The Stoics, who were ancient sages, said that listening is a very good thing to do. Epictetus even said something interesting about this. If you worry too much about being praised and don't like people talking about you, how can you be a philosopher? Because look, philosophers don't care that much about praise or criticism. Active listening means paying close attention and being totally present in the conversation without stopping or thinking about other things while you listen. It means focusing all your attention on the person who is speaking without being distracted by thoughts that come to mind during the conversation. A common mistake people make when listening is to want to answer a question immediately, which gets in the way of active listening because you're not fully present in the conversation with the other person. When we devote genuine attention to listening, we are not only showing respect, but also expressing real care for others. This creates an environment where people feel not only heard, but also important and understood, strengthening bonds and often increasing interpersonal affinity. In the context of Stoicism, the practice of active listening is intrinsically linked to the virtue of wisdom. This virtue is not just about understanding the world around us, but also about deepening our understanding of ourselves. By cultivating the skill of active listening, you not only enrich your relationships, but also excel in social situations and friendships. This practice goes beyond simply listening. It involves understanding the emotions and needs of others, helping to build more meaningful connections. Active listening, by becoming an integral part of your interactions, reflects not only a respectful stance, but also a genuine commitment to mutual understanding. As a result, you become someone more valued in your social circle because people recognize and appreciate the sincere attention you give them. That's having true friends by your side. Marcus Aurelius knew this because despite being one of the most powerful emperors of his time, he was betrayed by his closest general. This was one of the most disrespectful things he had ever suffered in his life, but it didn't allow him to act without virtue. Marcus Aurelius was able to deal with this lack of respect in a way that no one else could. To learn how to deal with disrespect, click on the video on the screen.